Imagine you are standing in front of a car that feels familiar but also completely new. This is the upcoming Volkswagen ID Golf, and it is not just another electric car. This is the future of the legendary Volkswagen Golf, a car that has defined everyday driving for generations, and now it is stepping into a completely new era in a way that feels exciting, modern, and surprisingly natural. For decades, the Golf has been one of those cars that just makes sense. It has always been practical, reliable, easy to drive, and fun in its own simple way. It never tried too hard, but it always delivered exactly what people needed, and that is exactly why it became one of the most loved hatchbacks in the world. And now that same philosophy is being carried into the electric future. The first time you look at the ID Golf, you instantly recognize it, and that is something very important, because changing such an iconic car too much would have been a huge risk, but Volkswagen clearly understood that, so instead of redesigning everything from scratch, they evolved it. The shape is still compact, balanced, and familiar, but now it looks smoother, cleaner, and more refined, like it has naturally grown into a more modern version. The front of the car tells you immediately that this is something different. There is no traditional grille, because there is no engine needing air. Instead, you get a clean surface with a sleek lighting signature. The headlights are sharper, thinner, and connected by a light bar that stretches across the front, giving it a futuristic personality that still feels subtle and not overdone. As you move to the side, you start to notice how well the proportions have been handled. The roofline flows smoothly, the body lines are soft but defined, and the wheels sit in a way that makes the car look stable and planted. It feels sporty without trying too hard, and that balance is something the Golf has always done really well. The rear of the car continues that clean, modern approach with a full-width light strip and a minimal design that removes anything unnecessary. There are no exhausts, no aggressive elements, just a calm, confident look that fits perfectly with the electric identity of the car. Underneath all of this design is where the real transformation happens, because this car is expected to be built on a new generation electric platform that focuses on efficiency, performance, and flexibility, which means the ID Golf is not just about looks, it is about delivering a completely new driving experience. You can expect different battery options depending on the version, with smaller batteries focusing on efficiency and affordability, while larger batteries give you extended range and more power, making the car suitable for different types of drivers and lifestyles. Range is expected to be strong enough to easily handle daily driving and longer journeys without constant worry, and with improvements in charging technology, you will be able to recharge faster and more conveniently than before, making the transition to electric much easier for everyday users. One of the biggest differences you will notice when driving the ID Golf is how it responds. The moment you press the accelerator, the car moves instantly. There is no delay, no gear shifts, no engine noise. Just smooth, continuous power that feels effortless and satisfying. And for those who love performance, there is a strong possibility that Volkswagen will introduce sportier versions of the ID Golf models that could bring serious power and acceleration, turning this practical hatchback into something genuinely exciting to drive. Imagine a version that can go from 0 to speed in just a few seconds while still being comfortable and usable every single day. That is the kind of balance this car is aiming for. Another interesting aspect is the possibility of all-wheel drive, which would add another layer of capability to the car by improving traction and stability, especially in challenging conditions like rain, rough roads, or light snow. This makes the ID Golf more versatile than ever before. It is not designed to be an off-road vehicle, but it does give you more confidence when the road conditions are not perfect, and that is something many drivers will appreciate. Step inside and the transformation becomes even more obvious, because the interior of the ID Golf is expected to be a major leap forward compared to previous generations. Everything feels more open, more minimal, and more focused on modern technology. The dashboard design is clean, with fewer physical buttons and a greater emphasis on digital controls, creating a space that feels calm, organized, and futuristic without being overwhelming. In front of the driver, you will find a digital display that shows all the essential information in a clear and customizable way, allowing you to focus on driving while still having access to everything you need. In the center, there is a larger infotainment screen that controls most of the features from navigation to media to vehicle settings, and this system is expected to be faster, smoother, and more intuitive than before, addressing some of the issues people had with earlier systems. The overall goal is to make everything easy to use so that technology enhances the experience instead of complicating it. Because there is no traditional engine taking up space, the interior benefits from better packaging, which means more legroom, especially for passengers in the rear, making the car more comfortable for families and longer journeys. The seats are designed to provide better support and comfort using improved materials that give the cabin a more premium feel. Even in lower trims, while higher versions could offer features like ambient lighting, enhanced upholstery, and additional comfort options. Technology plays a huge role in the ID Golf with advanced driver assistance systems that help make driving safer and less stressful. Features like adaptive driving support, lane assistance, and smart braking systems work quietly in the background to give you more confidence on the road. Connectivity is also a big focus with seamless smartphone integration, voice control, and over-the-air updates, allowing the car to improve over time and stay up to date without needing physical changes. This means your car becomes more like a smart device, constantly evolving and adapting to your needs, which is a big shift from traditional vehicles. When it comes to pricing, Volkswagen understands that the Golf has always been about value, so while the ID Golf will likely cost more than older petrol versions, it is expected to remain competitive within the electric vehicle market, offering a balance between affordability and modern features. Different trims will allow buyers to choose what suits them best, whether they want a basic version for everyday use or a higher-end model with more range, more power, and more advanced features. Over time, as electric technology becomes more widespread and production scales increase, the cost of ownership could become even more attractive, making cars like the ID Golf accessible to a wider audience. Now, when you compare this to previous Golf models, the difference is clear, but so is the connection. Because even though the powertrain and technology have changed, the core idea remains the same. This is still a car built for everyday life. It is still practical, still easy to drive, still comfortable, and still designed to fit into your daily routine without complications. The biggest change is how it feels to drive, because instead of the traditional engine sound and gear shifts, you get a smooth, silent, and responsive experience that feels modern and refined. But in many ways, this actually enhances what the Golf has always been about, because it makes driving easier, more relaxing, and more enjoyable, especially in everyday situations like city traffic and long commutes. This is what makes the ID Golf such an important car, because it is not trying to be something completely different. It is taking something people already trust and love and bringing it into the future in a way that feels natural and approachable. It lowers the barrier for people who are thinking about switching to electric by offering something familiar and easy to understand rather than something completely new and intimidating. And if Volkswagen manages to get everything right from design to performance to pricing, this car could easily become one of the most influential electric vehicles of its time. Because when a name like Golf successfully makes the transition to electric, it sends a strong message that the future of driving is not something distant or complicated. It is something that can fit seamlessly into everyday life. So whether you are someone who has owned a Golf before or someone who is simply looking for a practical, modern, and efficient car, the ID Golf is definitely worth paying attention to. Because this is not just another new model, this is the beginning of a new chapter, a moment where tradition meets innovation, and where one of the most iconic cars in the world takes a confident step into the future. And honestly, if this is the direction things are going, then the future of driving is looking pretty exciting.